Good morning and welcome back to the Homeschool Library. Brad here, coming to you from the Little Green Schoolhouse. I'd like to go back this morning and revisit the Essential Books series that I started here a couple of weeks ago. In the first video, you may remember, we started off with Essential Books for Boys, where we talked about Farmer Boy by Lord Ingalls Wilder. Today, I'd like to start off with what I consider to be my number one. That's not hierarchical, it's just my first pick for what I consider to be essential books for girls. Now, in both of these series, this is not meant to be gender specific at all. The girls who want to read Farmer Boy, boys, they're across the board. Books that I consider to be important books for children. Yet, I'm thinking about these in terms of essential lessons that I think speak especially to girls, especially to boys. And that's what I hope to convey with this series as a parent, as an educator, looking at that kind of going forward. So today for my opening pick, maybe I'll say it that way, in what I think are essential books for girls, I think is very timely, considering it just entered the public domain on January 1st, 2026, and that is Nancy Drew. At least everything that happened in the first novel. The character of Nancy Drew is now in public domain. The first novel is in public domain, which came out in 1930. The first adventure here is The Secret of the Old Clock. Now, naturally, yes, the whole Nancy Drew series is geared towards young ladies. I like Nancy Drew. I've always liked Nancy Drew. I still like Nancy Drew. In fact, it's now that it's in the public domain, it just reminded me that, it's another great chance to go back and revisit. I haven't read any of these in years. So I think it'd be a lot of fun to read some of these again with my daughters especially, but the boys, they like a good mystery as much as anybody. But what is it about Nancy Drew and the character in the books that I think speak especially to girls? Number one, yes, you could consider today a feminist icon. And I'm speaking, I guess you'd call it old style, original feminism. Meaning that there's no I am woman, hear me roar. She doesn't have to jump down your throat about the fact that she is a woman. There's no Brie Larson, look at me, I can do anything you can do except backwards and in high heels. Nancy Drew is just Nancy Drew. She's smart, she's awesome, she's capable, she's effective. She gets the job done just by being who she is without having to remind you of what she is. One, yeah, she's smart. She's accomplished. She's got her own vehicle, which at the time in 1930, for a young lady with her own car, that's, I don't want to say unheard of, but not common. Not only does she have her own car, she can fix her own car on her own. Her dad is, a great character as well. She's got a boyfriend, but she doesn't have to try to prove herself to anyone. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that girls can get out of Nancy Drew. God made you who and what you are, and live that to your fullest ability. Don't ever apologize for who you are. Don't ever make excuses for who you are. Don't ever try to rub it in anyone's face about who you are or what you can do. Just keep trying to be better. Use your talents, use your instincts, use the gifts that you have been given to your fullest ability. And don't apologize for that. And again, yeah, don't ever try to make excuses for that or shove it down anybody's throat. throughout the series of Nancy Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have more expansive Nancy Drew knowledge than I do. I've not read all the books, certainly, and I haven't read any of them in probably 30 years. But I can't remember a single time when, even while she's dealing with, say, police officers or any kind of other authority members, male or otherwise, they don't ever try to talk down to her for being a girl. That's not an issue in the Nancy Drew series. They respect her as a human being, as a person, as a valuable member of society. And that's the kind of thing that we should teach our girls to expect. When you expect to be treated as a normal human being without trying to feel that you need to force that down anyone's throat, I think you get it a lot more. Walk through life being a good, competent human being, and I think the rest of the world is going to treat you like a good, competent human being. Certainly, there are always exceptions, and there are throughout the series as well. But by and large, it's not about her feminism. It's not even about her femininity. Certainly, she never feels that she has to sacrifice her femininity in doing what she does, in what I think even still today is a largely male-dominated hobby/profession. She does what she does with skill, with grace, with capability, and humility. And that, I think that's another thing that maybe we're not teaching our kids enough these days, is to be skillful without sacrificing your humility. Nancy Drew is one of the original strong female characters. She's really great. I adore Nancy Drew books. I hope my daughters grow up to be at least as accomplished as Nancy Drew. And boys, I want you to read Nancy Drew as well, because this is going to show you not only how you should expect a woman to be, but how you need to treat her. Those are the lessons that I'm going to teach my son from Nancy Drew. How you treat a woman, because she is capable. She is intelligent. She might have different gifts than you have, but she's just as good as you are. And I have no tolerance for my son or any boy who doesn't accept and act on that attitude. So it's great that Nancy Drew is in the public domain now. She should have been years ago. Maybe public domain law is something that we can get into in a different video. I've definitely got my thoughts on that. But welcome to public domain, Nancy Drew. I hope that your career, your cultural significance just explodes even more from this point on. And I hope that the rest of the world gets a chance to meet you if they never have. So please take the opportunity to get into Nancy Drew if you never have. I know we certainly will be here as a family. We've got a large chunk of the series. My mom collected them in the 50s and 60s when she was a kid. Both my wife had her own selection. My oldest daughter was getting her own. We've got several different editions of Nancy Drew here that we all have access to in our family. And they have been updated over the decades. Some of the cultural references, the terminologies and such have been updated for more modern audiences as they go throughout. But I've never noticed that sacrifices the integrity of anything that is integral, I guess, to the original Nancy Drew. I hope that it hasn't. I hope that it never does, because Nancy Drew is a cultural icon and should remain so for all time. Absolutely an essential book for girls, essential book for boys too. Don't let this limit you. Read Nancy Drew and come back and we'll talk about something else in the next video. So see you next time. Brad out.